to Life, Lessons, and Legacy. And today I am honored to have the guest, Miss Felecia Walker, financial consultant, and many, many other titles that she also carries. Miss Felecia, how are you doing today?
Oh my goodness, I am amazing. Thank you for having me. When I got the request, I was like, yes, I'm ready. Let's go. There's
You,
so many life lessons that I have. Like, let's go.
you
So
and I,
thank
yeah.
yeah.
I was going to start off kind of introducing yourself to the audience, to kind of tell us a little bit about your background, kind of where you come from.
Yeah.
Could you kind of tell me kind of about your beginning? Are you from Memphis? Where are you from?
Yeah. So I'm Felecia Higgs-Walker. I am from Memphis, Tennessee, graduate of Whitehaven High School, class of 91. They always like me to say that. And from there, I attended the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, where I earned my bachelor's in human services and then went on to get my master's in social work. I was social worker for about 15 years and worked in the mental health department. I worked with teen moms, and then I switched over into sales. But because I started as a social worker, and as a counselor, that's always a part of who you are, right? That never goes away. I don't care what you're doing.
Mhm.
So that's how I ended up in sales. And from there, I started my own business and coaching people. I'm a career coach. Well, I started out as a career coach, teaching people how to double and triple their salaries at work, how to interview, how to navigate their workspace. And then from there, I realized that I was giving people steps, but I didn't have a tool to help them. So now I'm a financial consultant and I'm loving everything about it. I'm a mom of three boys. They are 24, 22, and 16. So that's what I do. And I love helping people. So that's who I am.
Okay. And if you ever meet Felicia, she has a lot of energy. She's high energy. She's driven. She's always focused. She's just a good person to be around. I
Awesome.
heard you talk about, your background in social work. My
Mhm.
background initially was in sociology. I ended up being
Mhm.
in sociology because I was in psychology initially,
Right.
and my GPA did not it didn't it didn't work too well in psychology. So I was gently persuaded to move over to sociology. So
Okay.
but yeah, like you say, once you start being a counselor and kind of working with people, it's something that's always in you. I
Right.
noticed from most of your a lot of your social media posts that you're still helping people, and it
Hmm.
seems to kind of come naturally when I'm around you, when I see you. People
Yeah.
kind of pick up on your energy.
Hmm.
So I will say, I know you said something about kind of what you do now. You have your own business, and
Hmm.
so what are some of your goals now, as far as personal and professional? And I will say this for also for, well, I'll get to that. I have one more question, but I'll get there later. But personally and professionally.
Man, personally, it is truly to get to a space where I'm just the best version of myself. You talk about life lessons, and I have learned a lot. I will be 51 on my birthday, and I've learned a lot. And I just want to make sure that I'm not repeating the same mistakes. You know what I mean?
I know
I just
exactly.
want to make sure that I'm not going backwards and that I'm moving forward. And as I'm moving forward, that I am truly becoming the best version of myself. And that my children are watching me and that when I leave this earth, that they're like, man, our mom really, she was a great woman.
Hmm.
Right. And they understand what made me great, not just to say that I was great, but what made me great. Professionally, it is to help as many people as possible, whether that is with their emotions, whether that is with their jobs or their families or their money, whatever it is to reach as many people as possible and impact as many lives as I can. So, yeah.
Okay, I like that answer. And I will say this about we'll talk about legacy and
Mhm.
that aspect later. But you said something very important about, you get to a certain age, you realize that your kids are watching. And
Mhm.
a lot of times I was telling people that they would say they tell the kids, do as I say, not as I do. But they really learn by watching you. I can tell my kids not to do X, Y, Z, but if they see me doing it,
Right.
more than likely they're going to do it.
Right.
So by you becoming a financial consultant, and we'll also talk about the other venture that we haven't covered yet.
Okay.
You would be surprised that one day your children will probably follow that same path,
Oh, they have no choice. I've already told them.
exactly.
You are getting your license. You will understand how money works. You
Yep.
have no choice because I didn't get this right, and no fault to my parents, right?
Hmm.
No fault to my family. My mom did the best she could, and
Hmm.
now like she has it now. She's in the 1%. She's a 1%er, right? I call her a 1%er.
Right.
But when I was growing up, she didn't have it,
Hmm.
and so my kids now that I'm learning all of this information, they have no choice.
Hmm. I force it on 'em. I'm like you, because growing up, I had no financial literacy. When I was in college, I definitely had no financial literacy. When I
Right,
got out of college, I still really had no financial literacy. I was just out here in the world thinking I have a degree, so I should be, I should be wealthy now. Not knowing when
right.
I came out of college, I was going to find a job.
Find a job, a good job.
Right. And hey, here's the thing, Felicia. I didn't even know what a good job was. My first job was a salary job, which my friends were impressed. Oh my God, he has a salary job. And it
Yeah.
paid me 23,000 a year. I thought I was balling until I got my check and it was 747 and my rent was 650. And I was like, oh, okay.
Let me tell you something. So I came out as a social worker. I'm helping people. I'm like, oh, I'm living, doing what I'm supposed to do, walking in my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I probably came out making about 27, maybe 30.
Mm-hmm.
But my colleagues who majored in like engineering and transportation and logistics
Mm-hmm.
came out and their starting salaries were 80 and 90. And let's move on, please. I'm getting upset. Just, oh my God.
Yeah, I get it. I remember
Yeah.
one of my buddies coming by and said, hey, why don't you have any window treatments? And I'm like, what's window? I was like, they already treat. I guess they sprayed them for bugs. I'm like, I have no clue. And then he was talking about I think he was talking about like he said cutlery, and I was like, you're just and you think about it, they send us off to college and we get all this quote unquote experience and
Right,
then nothing.
right,
So again, life lessons. I'm like you. I try to teach my kids everything that I
mhm,
learn
right,
because again, I'm like you. I'm big on leaving a legacy. I'm
mhm,
one day I won't be here, which
right,
was the purpose of writing the book, so that one
mhm,
day I'm not here, I can be an influence on my children, my children's children, and
right,
every generation is supposed to get
mhm,
better. So
mhm.
yeah, I'm like you. Don't feel bad because what they sit there like, oh my God, here we go again.
We go.
Yeah,
Here
I'm like,
we
put your phone down. It's time to learn something. And,
right,
and, and I realized that even though they look irritated, well, now they don't. They got to a point now, like, I'm going to go and get this over with. So you'll leave me alone. But
right.
I realized that eventually they come back to those lessons,
Yeah.
So something we didn't cover, we talked about your goals professionally and personally.
Uh-huh.
So we have not covered your book. So could you tell us the title of your book and could you also
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about your book?
So first of all, thank you for encouraging me. Do you remember the conversation we had at the baseball, right? Like
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, I can get this done, right? And so we got it done.
Mhm.
But the name of my book is Paid on Friday, Broke by Tuesday, The Pathway to Unstoppable Success. And the book is about how I was able to double and then triple my salary on the job by all the things that I did with interviewing, networking, and navigating my workspace. So the story goes in 2017, I was laid off from a six-figure job. I was a pharma rep, and I ended up taking a 60% pay cut. Ooh, it was 40,000, $22 an hour,
Mhm.
40,000, or roughly $40,000 a year.
Mhm.
And it was tough. It was dark. And I was making $700 a week. And out of $700 a week, you can barely pay two bills out of that, right?
Right.
And so there was a moment where I wasn't able to afford to buy grocery for my children. And that was the breaking moment for me. I call them broken moments. And so that was that moment that turned everything around for me. And I went back to work the next day, just different, doing different things, acting different, volunteering for different stuff. And in 18 months, I was able to earn my first promotion. I doubled my salary at that point. Did that for about 9 months. And I said, let me get back to this pharma. Okay. Because that's
That's where the
different.
money is.
That's what the money is. And so within 2 months of making that decision, I had two job offers and I returned back into the industry with about $140,000 salary.
Okay.
And so and in that time, during that time when I wasn't making a lot of money, I was able to save and build a emergency fund. And so that's what a lot of media outlets want to talk about because that's what people need to hear. And so that is the book. People are enjoying the book. And yeah, so I'm excited. And like you, I feel like it's something that I'll be able to leave for my children, right? It's one of those things that just keeps going. It's
Yep.
here now
Yep.
and it's never going away.
Yep. You know,
Yeah.
I think I do remember the conversation at the baseball field. You kind of light up like, oh, okay, I can do this. You know, maybe, you know, but I will say this, the good thing about it, it's out there now. Cause I know
Yeah.
the hardest part, the hardest and most rewarding part is that day when you've checked it a million times, you've had it edited, you've got the book cover, the back, and you hit that button like, am I ready? Like, am I going, did I really put out a book, or is this like are they gonna be like, oh, well, Sid or Felecia put out this Dr. Seuss book, you know? It's like, so you hit the submit button and it's like, it's out here now. And you know, you're nervous, and then you finally, you know, you kind of find yourself peeping, trying to see, and you start seeing the positive feedback. You're like, okay, you know, okay, I did this. It works.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. But the worst thing about it is when you do all the editing and you hit the button and you go back and you're like, "Dang, I've still got a couple of mistakes in it." So that happened to me. Like I had a lot of family members who purchased the book, friends, and I think they just love me because it took a stranger to say, "Can I say something to you?" I was like, "Sure."
yeah.
There are a few mistakes in the book. I was like, what? So as I started going through the book, I'm like, man. So I stopped everything and I took time because when you put a book out into the world, you want it to be the best product.
Yes.
So I felt like, you know, I had to step back, make the corrections, admit that I edited the book, but maybe I didn't edit it enough or enough times. Right. So yeah. So we just relaunched the book and
Okay.
it's been exciting. Yeah.
Well, I would say that, and I think that's something good for the listeners to know, because you and I both talk about sometimes it's just the fact like getting it done and getting it out there, and
Yeah.
being okay with like, okay, part of coming out of college and making the mistakes we both made is
Right.
okay, I'm not gonna be perfect. Like, you know what, my book is gonna have some errors,
Right.
but I'm okay enough and I'm mature enough to take the constructive criticism to
Right.
go back and, like you say, you know, edit it and relaunch it. Because
Right.
same thing for me when I got it, you know, editing done, and I was like, okay, it's better, and you still go through and you're like, okay, that's not worded correctly,
Right.
or I know from in my case, I found parts of my book on my computer. I had 3 or 4 different computers over a couple of year period where I had whole sections that I didn't even put in. It's like, do you put in a new version, or okay, that'll be in book 2, you know? And some of the things people don't know, and the good thing about you going through the process is you can actually guide someone else through, you know, like you and I talking like, oh, it's not that hard, go
Right.
through,
Right.
you know, these channels.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember two of the hardest things I had when I did mine, I'm sure you can share your experience that you had, was coming up with they were coming up with the book cover. Because I came up with a cheap book cover, a couple of them that I thought they were it. I shared it with my wife, I shared it with my kids, I shared it with my friends, and thank God they love me enough to be like, that's trash. Don't
That's
put that out
trash.
there.
Don't
So
do that.
yeah, I was like, no, it has a crown on it and it says life, you know.
A crown. What
It was
you
like
going?
something. It was free. It was the best one of the free ones, and I was like, oh. And they were like, yeah, that's terrible. Like if you put that out, we won't even buy your book. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the table of contents. I don't know, but I had everything formatted. My table of contents was all over the place. It didn't flow. It was, but it's the simple stuff like that. You're like, okay, I've written this whole book, and now I'm held up another 2 weeks working on the table of contents or
Right.
coming with cover. So
Yeah.
what else did you have any other parts of your book that you found, I guess, the process that were frustrating to you?
So I started writing the book maybe about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And but when I was ready to really bring it to the world, I started going back reading through it. I was like, I'm not the same person. Like I don't want to tell that story. Like there's a better story that I could. So just having gone through those growing pains and really wanting to say more than I was saying when I first started writing the book, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then also I attended this workshop, this writer's workshop, and I showed them the cover of my book and it has my picture on the front, just like yours. And she was like, oh, I don't think you should put your picture on the front. And I was like, she was like, yeah, that's kind of old school. And in my
Wow.
mind, And I was like, it's mine. And in my mind, I was like, no, I'm an African American woman.
Mm-hmm.
I want other people to see themselves in me. So I
Mm-hmm.
did not change it. I didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's why I say the same thing. I was told something similar at one point in time, and sometimes you realize all advice isn't good advice,
right.
because like you say, you're African American woman,
Mhm.
you are raising three boys,
Right.
and you don't even know who's looking. I always tell people that you never know who's looking at you, who
Mhm.
to you like to you or to you and I, we may just be, Felicia and said,
Right.
but there's somebody that literally looks up to you and everything you do
Right.
they want to follow in those footsteps. So again, seeing your picture, because you and I both go to we've been bookstores before, and you go
Mhm.
through looking through and you see the one I'm a badass or whatever, but there's no
Right.
picture. But it's
Right.
something else about when you pick up someone's book and you see their face on it. And it's like, okay, it's like even for speaking engagements, when someone
Right.
sees your face on a book,
Right.
it's like, okay, this person is legit. So
It's legit. Right.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So my other question is, so what life lessons would you say you've learned thus far at this point in your life that you want to pass on to your children?
Yeah. Mm. That I deserve to be here. That the space and the rooms that I walk into, that I deserve to be there.
Mhm.
And going back to graduating from college, only, starting out with a $30,000 salary, and then my colleagues starting out at a $90,000 salary. I'm thinking, oh, that's just for them.
Mhm.
I shouldn't, that's not for me. It
Mhm.
was for me, but I didn't know how to obtain that.
Mhm.
And so the biggest life lesson, and I tell myself this every day now, is I deserve to be in the room. I don't care who you are. And
Mhm.
that's one thing when I teach people about networking and networking up to with your vice presidents and directors at your job, they have to put their pants on one leg at a time like you.
Mhm.
If they are a young father, they have to go to a soccer game just like you after work. They have to
Yeah.
get up on Saturday morning if it's a mom and she has babies or small children. She has to
Mhm.
get up and cut orange slices just like you. It's
Mhm.
stressful. It's not
Mhm.
easy,
Mhm.
right? And so I deserve to be in the same rooms with those people or people who are levels above me,
Mhm.
and that my voice matters. So not
Mhm.
only do I deserve to be there, but I have something to say.
I love that, and it's so that's why I say, fathers are important and moms are important
Mhm.
because what you just said is basically what my grandmother told me, and I never forgot it.
Mhm.
She said, you put your pants on just like they put their pants on.
Right,
And when it came to men, she was like, you're a man just like he's a man. You're just a younger man.
right,
And so I think when with both of us being entrepreneurs, it's something about that mindset that when we walk in rooms, we're not intimidated anymore.
right.
It's
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I know this person has this title, but he's a man like I'm a man. She's a
Right,
woman like you. So you
right.
don't go into it, oh my God, this is, kind of like they do in the corporate world. It's more like, hey, how you doing? My name is Sid.
I'm not a groupie.
Yeah, I'm
I'm not
not a groupie. Yeah, and we're gonna have a conversation, and
right,
and and it goes on so much better because that fear isn't there. And like you say, once you start realizing like your self-worth or like I deserve this, because I think that's the other important thing about writing a book, because you and I'm sure both our whole lives saw people have written books and we're like it was so far fetched. Like
right,
I need a whole team. I need to be like 60. So obviously,
right,
I need to be a millionaire. And then you start realizing like, no, I can do this. Like I have a story to tell. I've lived life. I have
right,
lessons to tell. I'm trying to build a legacy.
right.
And so you start being like, okay, that's the biggest step. And when we're doing, I know when I do life coaching, that's one of the biggest things getting people to believe, like you say, that they belong in those rooms. Because once you get in there, you realize like you say, those people are just like you. They're still cutting orange slices and apple slices, and they're sitting out there with us at the baseball game. Like, I
Exactly.
love my child, but God, I'm tired. It's the same
Right.
thing.
Same thing. Same thing. So let me ask you,
Okay.
have you even started thinking of your second book, or is that too far-fetched, or have you even started thinking about it?
Yes, that's funny you should ask. I have. I actually thought about it kind of in the middle of writing this one, but then I realized that that's how I'm gonna end up procrastinating, not finishing the first book. So, but my for my second book, I think what I want to do is, and I said somebody may listen to the podcast, and still, if they do, that's fine. I'll make mine /B or something. But lessons learned, I guess basically like lessons learned as a 40-something-year-old man, like the
Mm,
lessons that I
so
you see, because the 40-year-old, 45-year-old me,
Okay.
speaking to 35-year-old me, would probably want to punch 35-year-old me in the face. Like, you
Right
know, you're
there.
right in the face. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're telling me, oh, this is what it is. And,
Yeah.
or 25-year-old me, when a 23, 24, you're coming out of college, just like, all right, I'm about to take on the world. I'm about to come out making six figures. And then you come out and you're like, man, the workforce isn't even what I thought it was going to be. Like, these people are immature. I thought they were going to be,
Right.
so it would probably be something along those lines. I don't know exactly the specific
Yeah.
title, but
Yeah.
lessons learned by a 40-some-year-old.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
So,
Yeah.
so what about you? Have you thought about a second title yet?
I haven't thought about a second title, but I have thought about the second book
Okay.
because now I feel like now I have more to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been thinking about the second book, but I'm like, Felecia, it hadn't even been a year with this book. Stay focused, right?
Right.
Stay freaking focused.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, maybe at that 1 year anniversary, maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's the release of the second book, but I gotta start working on it, right? Books don't happen overnight.
No, like you said, it's funny you say like 5 years ago, and I was saying to somebody was like, so you just sat down one day and wrote out a book? I was like, no, man, it's like 2 to 3 years. Like, I'll start and then I'll stop for 6 months and come back to it. It's a process.
It is. It is. So yeah, that's interesting.
So, two more things, and I'll let you. I won't hold you up forever. So I kind of ask about it a little bit earlier, as far as and I think you kind of answered it, but I'll ask it again, kind of see what your answer is. When your time is done,
Mm,
when it's over, and I'm gonna tell you something funny about that before I go into the question. The
yeah.
older I get, and the more people I lose, the more I start realizing, like, we all have a date, not to be
Yeah.
more, but we do. And so, what impact can I make here that's going to affect my family for generations?
Mm,
So that's what pushes me, because you never know the time or the date.
yeah.
So when your time is done,
Mm,
what legacy would you like to leave for the world, and again for your boys?
mm, mm.
You want them to be able to say, my mom, you know.
Yeah. My mom gave it everything she got.
Mhm,
My mom never quit.
mhm,
My mom kept trying until she figured it out
mhm,
because that's what I've done up until this point.
mhm,
She kept trying until she figured it out. And as a new, I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but as a new financial consultant,
mhm,
once she learned and she became literate about money,
mhm,
taught us, and she changed the trajectory of our lives and our children's lives, right?
mhm.
That's for my family.
Okay.
And for the world, I guess it's the same thing because that's the motivation that I give all the time. Don't freaking give up.
Mhm,
Don't quit. In the midst of going through, stay focused still. It's hard to stay focused when you're going through. It's
mhm,
hard to stay focused when you don't know which way you need to go. But stay focused and keep moving,
mhm,
right? And so I pride myself on just encouraging people, empowering people not to give up
mhm.
and to keep moving. And hopefully I am making a difference.
Oh yeah, you
That's all,
definitely.
that's all I can say.
Yeah, you definitely are making a difference. And something you said is important. I interviewed one of my buddies. He's George, the mortgage man. He does mortgages. And
Mhm.
the same thing. It's weird how I guess we all kind of kindred spirits, if that's the correct word I'm looking for, term. But we all want to empower others. He said that's his thing, like empowering people that you can be a homeowner.
Mhm.
Like, he talks to people and they have no clue how to even start the process.
Right.
And so for generations, none of them ever owned a home. They never even tried to own a home. And then he said he had a grandmother and got
Mhm.
her approved, and she was like, I can't believe I have a home. And so
Wow.
then that grandmother's daughter ended up applying and getting a home. And so now the child, or the grandmother's grandchild, is like, I'm gonna have a home one day.
Right.
And the same thing with you, with the financial consulting and all the different things you're doing. That's how you break those generational curses, I would say.
It is. It
you know
is. I
so.
just finished teaching a class for the hospital, and I had 6 days to prepare this group of people, it was like 29 of them, for
Mhm,
their interviews. They were all trying to get jobs at the hospital. And I walked in the room the first day and I said to them, I will change your life in 6 days. And in 6 months, it'll be up to you to take your life to the next level because that's that probation period, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
6 days. And every day I would come in, I was like, how many days do we have? They would say 5 days. Next day, 4 days. Then it got to the point the day before the interviews were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So how many days do we have? We have 24 hours. 24 hours to change your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's just having an impact and changing lives. So, and they all said, oh, you said some amazing things. You changed my life in 6 days. So what I told them I would do,
Mm-hmm.
did, and they brought it back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, so yeah, it's,
Yeah. You know,
yeah,
it's that's like guys' work, I would say, because when people my grandma used to tell me that I was like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about, but I get it now. Like what you just did, and what you're talking about, that's guys' work. So you're doing guys' work. One, it doesn't really feel like work, and then two, your rewards come back tenfold, as they say. And I
yeah,
know not everyone's religious. You don't have to be. If you are, you are. If you aren't, you aren't. But what you're doing, you're impacting lives, and you're impacting future generations. Because again, those individuals that you spoke to during your seminar,
yeah.
you actually helped them, and now you're probably helping their next generation.
Right.
Because it is a skill to be able to go in and interview. I will
It,
tell people that if you think you just go in there and they're gonna walk your butt up out of there. You first
right,
of all have to get the interview.
right,
Don't go in there and ruin it.
right.
So,
And
uh,
the workforce is so selective now.
mm-hmm,
Corporations can be very selective on who they interact with, who they bring
mm-hmm,
into. It's not like they're hiring everyone because they're
mm-mm.
not.
No, they're
So I
not.
think COVID changed a lot of that.
It
So yeah,
did. It did. So I have well, two things. I
yeah.
said two things earlier about four things ago, but two things.
Bring
So
it.
can you expand a little bit more on the financial consulting, because that was something that I definitely wanted the listeners to hear about. You
Yeah,
and I have been talking. We will talk
yeah,
more about it. Outside the pod, but
yeah.
please tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so I am a licensed financial consultant with life insurance and investments. And so there's two parts of that. It is life insurance, allowing life insurance to be that generational builder for your family, right? And then the other side of that is helping people start their own businesses, right? Helping people to bring in additional streams of income. And it's not with a product, it's not with lotions and potions and all that. It's not
Mary
that,
Kay.
right?
Yeah.
Mary Kay,
Yeah.
but it is with something that we all need. We may not know it, but we all need it. And so that's why I believe in it. So,
Okay.
so it is my mission. I never knew this would be my mission, but it
Mhm.
is my mission to help people prepare for the future and to protect their families and to build wealth,
Mhm.
right? And then on the other side of that, help people start businesses and create legacies for their own families by becoming a licensed consultant.
Okay. And I definitely like, we talked about it previously, but we'll talk about it more because
Yeah,
I do like that, and it gives individuals opportunity to start a business,
right,
and also gives them an opportunity to have financial literacy. And you're
right,
helping the individuals that you are, the actually consulting to
right,
gain financial literacy. And
right,
you know, as they say, what you see is what you do.
right,
If the kids see the parents being financially
right,
what's the word I'm looking for? Financially intelligent, I guess,
right. Hmm.
then they will do the same. So, well, last thing,
Okay.
and I try, and I won't hold you long. We may have to do part two because I'm actually enjoying this, but this is your time to. I try to give all guests the opportunity to plug any websites, upcoming
Yeah,
events,
yes.
dance parties, whatever you have going on. You can plug it
Psycho-
now. Yeah, anything. Yeah, anything.
So thank you for that. So again, I'm Felecia Walker. I'm the CEO of the Focus Group by Felecia, which started out as a career coaching business. I work with organizations. I'll come in and train your staff. I would love to work with high school seniors as they are about to transition out of high school into the workforce. I love working with college students. The same, helping them to prepare to move into the workforce. So that is what I do on that side. I am a author of Paid on Friday, Broke by Tuesday, The Pathway to Unstoppable Success. And my website, you can find all of those things on my website at www.thefocusgroupbyfelecia.com. And that's BY and Felecia with two E's. You also can find the financial information on my website if you are interested in a consultation for your personal life insurance and mutual funds and annuities and all that good stuff, then reach out to me. But if you're also interested in starting your own business so that you can help the people in your community, reach out to me as well. I am all over social media on all the platforms. Just look me up. I think TikTok and Instagram is always underscore Felecia. On LinkedIn, I'm Felecia H. Walker. On Facebook, I'm Felecia Higgs-Walker. I'm everywhere. Like, I'm everywhere. I've had an opportunity to be a guest on a few TV shows. I've been on Fox 13 Memphis probably around 4 times now. I've been on Good Day Atlanta twice. I've been on the Portia Show once in Atlanta. So, like, I'm everywhere and I'm not going to stop. This is it. Join me. Let's go.
That's it. That's it. Felecia is very busy. She is very visible. You can see her anywhere. You guys, please follow her. When we release the spot, I'll definitely have your contact information on there and all your different social media tags.
Mhm.
I will say this, I enjoy what I do, but Felecia keeps me motivated. I see her post every day. I'm like, okay, let me go put something together today because I got to keep up. I got to keep going. So I really want to say I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate seeing your posts every day because for entrepreneur, we need to see other entrepreneurs doing stuff that makes us realize that, okay, I need to step my game. I need to try to, if I can just try to do some of this stuff, I'm
Yeah,
okay. And it's
because it's not
motivating.
easy. It's not
Yeah,
easy.
it's not. It's a.
Right.
I tell people like everyone always says, "Oh, I want to work for myself," but it, when you say work, you're gonna work. You're gonna. It's
12,
no
13, 14-hour days.
days, and some of those days you don't get paid for them. It's just
Exactly.
you. But I tell people you do your work on the front end, so on the back end you
Mhm.
can. It's a lot of people are used to working for a company all day. You go in from 8 to 4 and you get off.
Right.
With this, what we do, you burn that
9
midnight
o'clock.
oil. You like, okay, I'm gonna be done at 8, and it's like 2 in the morning. You're like, okay, let me go to bed. So
Right.
yeah, but I really, again, I really appreciate it. I'm looking
Welcome.
forward to having you back on the show. And
Absolutely.
anytime you have anything you want to plug, let me know. We will plug it on the podcast, on the webpage,
Yeah.
and definitely much success. I am extremely
We
proud
should
of you.
make this like a thing, like I don't know, book talk
We
Wednesday, book talk Tuesdays or something. I don't know,
See,
but
and this is why I like Felecia, because I like that. That's a great idea. I think we should. When we get done, you and I will get together and we're gonna do,
yeah,
because I think it'll be great.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I
Look
do
at
too.
this. And
We're
this is how
we're
great
blessed.
minds work. We get together,
Blessed.
it's like we got another business plan. Let's get this going. So I like that.
Right. Yeah, because
Hmm.
what you just said is key. Entrepreneurs need to see other entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
and they need to know that it's possible. They need to hear us say, "Yeah, it's not easy being an entrepreneur, but if you keep working and if you put the work in on the front end,
Hmm.
going to be successful and you will eventually start to see those rewards." So,
Yes. Because
yeah,
I tell people all the time, like the motivational speakers that we watch and we listen to, there was a time where they were literally just speaking for free.
right.
And now they're speaking for 10 to 100 grand per event,
Oh my
and
God.
right, those are the time they were in a middle school speaking, and people when they had their backs turned to them, throwing paper airplanes, and
Yeah.
now it's
Right.
just putting in their time. So it's
Yeah.
like a sports. And all I know, we don't have much time left, but I know we were both athletic growing
Yeah.
up, and the same thing. It's just you put in the work, and the results come on the back end.
That's
So
it. Let's
okay,
get it.
yes. So I'm gonna let you
Muscle
go.
memory.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, yeah. And we're definitely using these muscles a lot these days. So,
That's, yeah.
but yes, I thank you again.
Thank
I will,
you.
I will, I will be in contact with you,
Okay.
and God bless you.